This episode, Sawhorses. Well, John and I were talking, we've never done an episode on sawhorses. Well, guess what? We are now. Welcome to the Handyman Pros Radio Show. Home improvement and maintenance tips from the pros. Thanks for listening to another edition of the Handyman Pros Radio Show, where we try to help you save time, money, and aggravation on your home maintenance and repair. This edition's entitled Sawhorses, and to help me explain, I've got my old sawhorse buddy, Johnny. Johnny?
Sawhorse, saw sheep.
Well, I'm leaving that one alone, Johnny.
Werewolf.
I know how you are about sheep.
Werewolf. Okay. So we've never done anything, simple as a sawhorse is, to put wood and cut things on. It's,
You mean you don't use it as a tabletop at Christmas time? I do.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's the versatile. Yeah.
It's extremely
versatile. I can't
versatile.
tell you what I've seen on top of those sawhorses. But, I don't have... I've got a table. We did a little show on the table, and that's something else that's a tremendous tool, having one of those portable tables.
Yep.
And I always, they're big enough where you can put wood and anything on there and work on it and cut and all that kind of stuff. But, sometimes you need an additional sawhorse. I don't have one that I bring with me.
Yeah, I do. But
I use the bumper of my car. The table's almost at the same height as my car, the bumper. And it's, sometimes I cheat it that way, but I am going to buy a collapsible sawhorses. The reason that I never did is I had the traditional horses that would stack.
Yes.
And I can't stand it. They're all
well. They take up too much space.
They take up
right?
too much space.
They're
and they
huge.
wobble. And you're always tightening them, and you can buy the clamps for like $10 or whatever, and then you build it yourself,
Yep.
on a 2x4s, but not anymore. You can, some of these new sawhorses are tremendous.
Yeah, they really are. And so I use the actual metal, let me rephrase that. I bought the original metal ones where the legs fold up inside it, and I put a piece of 2x4 across the top, and it's made out of sheet metal. And I'll tell you, it works really, really good. Probably my biggest complaint about the ones that I have are just that it's not that they don't take up anywhere the amount of space that the wooden ones did. They were insane. They're junk. They're forget it. That's so old at this point. It's not even worthwhile. But they do take up a fair amount of space. Not huge, but kind of enough for the amount compared to the amount that I use it. And folks, as you know, we work as handymen, so we're out in the field. I gear everything towards being mobile. Like how easy can I get it out and all that kind of thing. Today, now, right? So I guess let's talk materials, Johnny. What are sawhorses made of? So they're made of wood. We know that. But now they make metal ones. And then there's also plastic ones. Yep. And then there's like poly ones. And there's, basically you can get them in any form you want. But they've really come along with some great design elements on some of the newer sawhorses that make them more mobile and make them more effectively more functional in our case, right? So
yeah, no, absolutely. And I just was just thinking about one of the jobs that you and I both did. I think it was that barn that we were fixing or whatever.
Yep.
And I had to bring a pair of sawhorses over.
Yep. So
I had to bring my old ones over there, and I actually had to take them apart to get them in the car.
To get them in the car.
In the truck, because they're just, they're the stackable ones. So
right.
Here you are, I'm taking screws out of it. Anyways, but the new ones, that I've seen, they're just metal, and I think you've got your friend there that's got a pair of them, right?
Yeah, yep.
They're just the metal, like the metal tubes, and they'll hold like 1,000 pounds.
Yeah, they're just they're metal legs. I just pulled my ear out, Johnny. I can't hear you for a minute there. Been doing that a lot today. But yeah, they're metal legs with a metal arm, and they fold up really small. And he says they hold 1,000 pounds, and the spec sheet say they hold 1,000 pounds. I'm not putting 1,000 pounds on them, but that's me.
Yeah, right. But they do make for a great versatility and be able to put those and as for the homeowner too, is you don't want. Now I've got those stackable sawhorses down in my shop. and I wish I didn't have them because every time I go down there, these things are taking up all kinds of room. And
Yeah.
I just don't
And
want them. I want the new ones so that I can take them easily with me. Stash them in the truck, and then stash them at home without taking up all this space.
yeah, very much so. Because remember, space is a premium, right? I
Yep.
mean, it's one of the parameters that's a premium, and in your home and or in your world, and if you don't use them all the time, you really want to fold them up and put them out of the way. Now there's a bunch of different ones, John. So some of those foldable ones now, the new foldable ones, they've got other things on them. They've got like some vices and some stuff. There's a bunch of options, folks, and we're not going to get into a huge discussion on them, but just be aware when you're walking down the aisle, think about your usage and what you might use these things for. And like some of them have these, like they're kind of V-shaped ends on them where you can put pipe in them and it'll hold a pipe if you need it, and pipe meaning anything from like 3/4 inch up to like 2.5 inch PVC. And that's kind of a nice feature if you do that kind of work. If you're cutting just a lot of lumber, you can get just the traditional ones. That's fine. They're not going to, you're not going to go wrong with them. You won't go wrong with them. You can create jigs and stuff to hold pipes on them, but just look at some of the options that are available because there's tons of options. Now, I have a pair of one of those traditional kind of flat plastic injected mold ones that I picked up. Johnny, didn't I pick those up from that job we did where
Yeah.
we cleaned that building out?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are those.
Those are the ones you stole.
I didn't steal them; they were given to me. Might have stolen them from you, but I gave you the deck record. What do you want? Come on. Yeah. But I actually don't like those because they fold flat, but they still take up a lot of space horizontally, and they really don't work that good. So I wasn't really that thrilled with.
That's the problem I've seen with those.
It's one of those things. I think that this is a case where if you buy the right sawhorses, don't think so much about the money on this one. Think about how long you'll actually have them and use them. So I call that like, what do I want to call it? I call that pig iron purchase, right? So if you're buying something that you theoretically could have for an excessively long time, say 20 years. I'm going to use the example of my axe. I bought my axe when I was in high school, and I still have it. And it still works as good as the day I bought it. And what is it? Well, it's a piece of iron, that's got a sharp end on it. But it's got a fiberglass handle. It's never gone bad. It's old at this point. It's 40 years old. Wow. Yeah, it's 40 years old. That's scary.
But
Anyway,
to that point. To that point, I've got the ones in the base. Every once in a while, I need those things.
yep.
They're there. They're great. I don't use sawhorses that often at my house, but when I need them, they're there. I know a lot of guys out there probably right now listening to us will say, well, I built my own and they're always up in my shop and, so on and so forth. Great. If but that's not the kind of work I do.
Yeah,
I like to
do either.
store stuff out of the way, with the
Yep.
things I don't use that very often.
Yep.
But some of those new ones, are very interesting, and I'm glad you brought up. They've got the V's at the end for pipe and all kinds of
Some
stuff.
do. Yeah.
And
Some do.
so a couple of decent sawhorses, and you can do a lot with that. Make big tables and all kinds of stuff out of it. Temporary tables.
Yeah, I wasn't kidding when I say we've entertained. We've actually had, when we're having a bigger party and we need just a temporary table outside for like a
Yeah.
serving table. You put either a piece of plywood or an old door on there, put a tablecloth over it. Hey, looks, you wouldn't know.
There you go.
Honest to God, you wouldn't know. That it's not a big table.
Right there, there is, friends. Right from the hills of Georgia. There's Larry. Come
What's
on.
that about
Go
banjo
ahead.
music, Johnny?
Come on.
I don't hear any banjo
come
music.
on. Come
What are
on
you
by
talking
for
about?
a formal party with a table on top of two sawhorses.
I didn't say formal.
A table. Yeah, but so that is, I'm gonna report back on that. I'm gonna pick up a pair of those things and see how it goes. I will say that table, I almost wish I had two of those another one of those tables.
Yeah.
But I think with this sawhorse thing, I think I might scrap that. Those tables have been getting pretty expensive, by the way.
Yeah, they've gotten expensive. So these tables we're talking about, I believe they're the Keter brand,
Yeah.
Keter. Yeah, and Johnny, I think the last time I saw them, they were over $100.
I think
Which
I think it was about $120 now, 115. and they're tremendous. I mean,
Outstanding product. Yeah.
that is an outstanding product. I've used that thing all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And it
Fantastic.
folds up completely flat and the legs pop out and it's really quick to set up and so forth and so on.
Mhm.
It's got a handle on top so you can carry it like a piece of luggage. It's really a great product. Really, I have one as well and I use it a lot. I mean, a lot. That between that and my workmate, those are the two things I use for a bench all the time. But I do have SawHorses. And then we also talked about the roller, I don't know, what do you call those? The roller arms or whatever,
Yeah, it's
but
got
they're
the roller on the
it,
top where you can just move like if you're cutting crown molding on a miter, you put the other
yeah,
side of the crown molding, and this thing just goes back and forth.
and it rolls.
Right.
And have one of those, but I mean, when you need, that's kind of one of those things when you need it, but I
I
don't use it nearly as much as this, the
that's
other thing.
yeah, that's the problem, and it's heavy too.
And it's heavy. Yeah,
Yeah,
it is
it's
heavy.
heavy. But yeah, so we're gonna, I'll report back. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
and
get on.
the ones we were looking at, Johnny, weren't they? We'll toss a brand name out, but they're the Craftsman folding metal ones. Is that the one we're talking about?
Yeah, I'm going to take a look at that. The things that I'd like to get one that has adjustable legs on it though.
Ah, okay.
And I'll tell you why, because I find myself, with the topography around here,
Yes.
everything when you're at a customer site, nobody's driveway is flat. And it's like try to find a flat piece of ground, to work on.
It's
The
a good
table's
point.
okay, but if you've got something else, you want to get the heights the same. So that's the other thing. No, if I can find that table's just about the same height as my bumper, so I can put in a big 2x4 across the table and cut it,
Right.
and use my car as a sawhorse. But
Right. Right.
I think those days are numbered. But anyways, so
Well, awesome. That's outstanding. And with that, Johnny, I was going to ask you, did you set up a landing zone with your sawhorses the last time over at your house for the aliens when they came down to visit you?
Larry, I don't know. I'm still contemplating this pig iron purchase. I guess so. I guess that's apropos here because we're talking about horses. You can throw
There
some
you
pigs
go.
in there too.
They got horses and pigs.
Yeah,
They go
horses and
together
pigs.
like
So there you
salt
go.
and pepper, I guess, I suppose. All right. Well, sounds good. All right. With that, folks, we appreciate you listening to us. If you like this insanity that Johnny and I put together called the Handyman Pros Radio Show, please tell your friends and neighbors, send them some links. Say, hey, listen to these guys just because they're whatever you would like to describe us as. And by the way, if you have a good description for us, send us to us in an email. That's questions@handymanprosradioshow.com or handymanprosradioshow@gmail.com, or you can post it out there on our Facebook page. We've got a Facebook page and a Facebook group. The Facebook group is @handymanpros. Post it out there. Give us a name because we'd like to know. We would like to know. Inquiring minds want to know, Johnny.
Yep.
Inquiring minds want to know.
And thanks for the participation on the Facebook page.
Yeah, we really do appreciate that. We get some great ideas for show topics and all sorts of things, and so very, very helpful for us. All right, and anyway, with that, we will see you next week on the Handyman Pros Radio Show.